Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharal and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach. We're listening to none other than Hezekiah. The song is entitled The Most High. I do this for the Most High. I do this for Yahusha HaMashiach. I do this to advance the kingdom of Yahuah. Make no mistake about it. I am in the business of service. I'm in the business of serving Yahuah and his people. I am the business of establishing Yahuwah's kingdom in the Eretz by this witness. And wholeheartedly given to this work in the name of Yahusha Mashiach. Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise, Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach for the witness. I thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh. I thank you for the water. I thank you for the blood. This witness must be preached. This Besorah must be preached throughout the Eretz. Yahuah, you have given it to us, your people, to receive your witness and to preach and declare your witness. Now, Yahuah, we don't do it in our own strength. Therefore, I'm praying that you take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue by the Ruach HaKodesh and reign. That the words that I speak would come forth in power and influence by the Ruach HaKodesh. That those who hear the word of Yahuah through me would receive a quickening, a power, an emunah to be established and to move forward, to produce fruit, to declare this witness, to establish people in your kingdom. Yahuah, allow me not to cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuah, I'm in this for you. For you are the Most High. I'm in this for you. You are the Most High. Yahuah, therefore, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Most High, Yahuah Elohiym. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise. Man of Yah, woman of Yah. What we do has to be for the benefit of the kingdom. As we deliver this witness, as we bring people under the understanding of the witness, the objective is to bring the Most High glory, to establish his kingdom in the Eretz, to allow his people to be partakers of this kingdom. And not just Yasharal, but to the Gentiles too, that Yahuah has chosen. We have the Most High. We have Yahuah Zavaoh. We have been given the Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach of wisdom and understanding, the Ruach of counsel and might, the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuah to carry this witness and to reach those for the kingdom of Yahuah. Again, we're listening to this by Hezekiah. The song is titled The Most High, and I don't own the rights to this music. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, it's about the kingdom of Yahuah. It is never about anything other than the kingdom of Yahuah. Right? It's his kingdom come. It is Yahuah establishing his kingdom in the Eretz. His kingdom come. These signs, these moons, these lunar eclipse, these blood moon eclipse are Yahuwah's signs to his people. And his people are those who have received the witness. Make no mistake about it. Just because you know you Hebrew don't make you his people. It makes you his people when you walk in the witness and receive Yahushua Mashiach. Then you are his people. That's why he could graft in people, because they have received the witness. He could graft in those of the other nations because they received his witness. That's why He has sheep not of this fold because they've received the witness. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, it's about this witness. And that's why I serve the Most High. This is why I serve the Most. Listen, he's been good to me. Listen, Yahuwah's been good to me. The Most High Yahuah, Elohiym, has been good to me. I can't praise Yahuwah enough. I can't magnify Yahuwah enough. I can't worship Yahuwah enough. Listen. Because of this witness, he has established me in righteousness. He has removed sin consciousness from me. And in Emunah, as I trust and release my faith in this witness, the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh, I'm a new creature, created in Hamashiach to produce and to do good works. I am a new creation. My DNA has been effective. The Ruach HaKodesh has altered me from the inside out. Listen, I don't worry about chemtrails. Listen, I don't worry about a vaccine. I don't worry about things that they drop from the air. I have the witness. The Ruach HaKodesh, I am established in the blood of Yahushua Mashiach. He's made all things new. I'm a new creature in him. He's established my DNA. He has set me in the kingdom. I have this earnestness, this inheritance. But I had to believe it. I had to believe that I've been made righteous. I had to believe that I am not a sinner anymore. I had to believe that he has made me righteous through faith in the blood of Yahushua Mashiach. I got to believe this. I got to be like Abraham. I can't stagger at the promises of Yahuwah through unbelief. But I got to be strong in Emunah, being fully persuaded that what he has promised, he's well able to perform because he is the Most High. Listen, he's not going to suffer me to be destroyed by a bite of a serpent. He's not going to allow me to inhale, to drink any deadly thing when I have his witness in the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, you better get a clue. This thing is real, and you better be established in it in Emunah. Got time to worry about chemtrails. I don't have time to worry about a vaccine or another vaccine or they're sending vaccine from the air. What does that got to do with me? I'm sealed. I have the Ruach HaKodesh of promise. He said, no weapon turned against me prospers. I am going to win. I am in this race of endurance, and I am going to win. I am going to reach the end. Yes, because I recognize in Emunah what this takes. I'm not tossed about by every wind of doctrine. I'm not wishy-washy. I'm not staggering at the promises of Yahuwah. I'm not doing it. If Yahuwah said it, that's it. That settles it. It's his word. It's a Torah. It's established. And he said, those that believe shall receive power. After the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you, you must have the Ruach HaKodesh. You must be born again of the water and the Ruach, because that's what's going to seal you. It's going to keep you, secure you, going to protect you in this hour, in these coming days, in these coming years. We don't know when Yahuwah comes, but I guarantee you something. You better be about preaching this witness until he comes. Tell you that much. You better be about preaching this witness. You better be about reaching your brethren and these Gentiles to the witness. You better be about the business of the apostles. Right? He didn't wake you up so you could just do what you want to do. He didn't wake you up to do you and your tribe. He woke you up to wake up the nation. Ministry is supposed to be to the nations. But yet you locked into your own personal locale. You better wake up and get busy with the witness and sending people out to do the work of Yahuwah. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, you better hear the word of Yahuah. Yeah, this is about his witness. Sitting up, camping up, right? Camping up. People around you dying. You ain't got time to get the witness out to them because you got your own. You got your own people. You got your own assembly. You can't help nobody else because you got to help your assembly. Man, you lost. You missing it. You better wake up. Wake up. This ministry wants to go to the four corners of the earth, right? And this ministry ain't relying on a YouTube to get it there. Told you. I'm going to go. He's going to make a way. I'm going to go. Because I refuse to be locked into this medium. No, I refuse to. I refuse to. Right? You got people who need to hear the witness. Right? You got people who need to hear that they got to be born again of the Ruach HaKodesh. You got Hebrews that need to understand that the awakening is not the quickening. They got to be born again. Don't go quicken and go back to the land and fellowship with some Ruachs of your ancestors. You full of hell. That ain't the witness. That's not being established as Yahuwah's people in his kingdom. No. Chasing ruachs of your ancestors. Your ancestors was influenced by demonic forces. Ruachs. And your dead ancestor ain't got nothing to say to you if he ain't left it in writing. If it ain't on some parchment or some paper, then he ain't got nothing to say to you because Yahuwah ain't gonna let him say anything to you. Yahusha said, listen, let him look, that rich man that died and woke up and he was in hell while Abraham what a beggar was in Abraham's bosom. Right? He wanted him to allow the beggar to go send somebody to his brother. No, he wanted Abraham to send somebody to his brother, Father Abraham. I think he said Father Abraham. Anyway, he wanted somebody to go to his brothers to warn him. He said, warn them. They got the law and the prophets. You ain't got no voodoo. You ain't got no ruachs. No ancestral ruachs. You got devils. And if you going to fellowship or commune with the ruachs of your ancestors, you going to commune and fellowship with devils. It's only one ruach that Yahuwah is given for fellowship. And that's the Kodesh, Ruach of Yahuwah. The Ruach HaKodesh. That's the only spirit, and it ain't an ancestral spirit. It's a Yahuwah Zavaoth spirit. I don't want no devils communicating nothing to me. I don't care if it is on the continent. I don't care if I'm from the continent. I'm not going to the continent to commune with some ancestral devils, some demons. Them demons and them ancestral ruachs that they trying to connect to ain't getting them nowhere. You know what I'm going to do listening to them? They still under the bondage of these nations. They still fighting and warring amongst one another. Listen, I got to have the Ruach HaKodesh when I go to the continent. And I'm going to the continent. Oh, yeah. And when I get there, I want the dirt between my feet. Yeah, I want to touch the continent. Yeah. Quite possibly live in a continent. All things being equal. Whatever Yahuwah says. Either that or in a place where I have Hebrews that need to know about the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach in these other countries. Oh yeah, I'll be amongst my brother in these other countries preaching the Basora and the Torah of truth until Yahushua comes. Because listen, he gonna gather me. It don't matter where I end up. I really don't want to end up in America. I know hell's gonna break loose here. Yeah. So I ain't putting my, I know you can keep me here too. I know you can keep me anywhere. Right? I know Yahuah could watch over me. Look. If they dropped a nuclear bomb and it landed in Florida, it'll skip everybody's. It'll skip and consume everybody else. But where I'm at is gonna be like a shell contained, like nothing touched it. Because I know whom I believe. Listen, he's able to keep that. Or he going to transfigure me. He's going to take me from one place to another. Or teleport me. I'm sorry. He's going to teleport me. Bro, you better have this confidence. You better know that no weapon turned against you prospers. You better know this. You can't be staggering at the promises of Yahuah through unbelief. You can't. You got to be fully persuaded. See, and I know, listen, that's what I'm telling you, man. That's what, ain't no vaccine can do nothing to me. Ain't no vaccine can do anything for me. They can fight me and hold me down and give it to me. It ain't gonna do nothing to me. Because no weapon formed against me prospers. Listen, you can't destroy the DNA of you. That's why you got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. See, because the Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you, listen, ain't nothing can prosper. Ain't nothing going to win against you. You know, Yahuah's word is true. Come on, man. Listen. You had our ancestors slaying giants. Giants. The lion men. They lion like men of David and his men. Right? Come on. What is there that anything that they can do to me to cause me to be destroyed? They can't mess with my DNA. I'm the Ruach HaKodesh. They can't mess with you. See, but you got to have this confidence. You got to be fully persuaded. You got to know what the word of Yahuah says. You got to understand it. You got to make sure it lines up with you. You lined up with it. This thing is real, man of Yahuah. Woman of Yahuah, this thing is real. This is real. Yahuah has revealed the blood moon. This thing is real. The moon is turned to blood. It's real. Real. You better get a clue. 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 Yashral Yahudah. You better not cast your confidence away. You better not put more faith in this system. You better not put more faith into this system and your ability to provide your provisions. You better not do it. Excuse me. You better not do it. Better not do it. Better not do it. They're killing Hebrews. You better wake up. It's Jacob's troubles. You better wake up. Killed 10 people in Buffalo, New York. I lived in Buffalo, New York for 4 or 5 years. Was it 4 or 5 years? I lived in Buffalo, New York. From Rochester, New York. But lived in Buffalo, New York. Me and my wife and my kids lived in Buffalo, New York. Actually, my last wife. I ain't proud of it, y'all. I ain't proud of it, but it's the fact, right? We had our kids and they were in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York is a rough town, right? Rough town. It's tough. It was hard. You know, I mean, in all the African American neighborhoods, run down. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard place. It was a hard place, but you would taught me a lot in that place, right? Gunmen traveled two hours with a manifesto to kill blacks. Come on, Yaakov, you better wake up. This government ain't gonna do nothing for you. It ain't designed to. It ain't yours. They ain't gonna facilitate nothing for you. No, they ain't gonna facilitate nothing for you. Listen, you better turn to faith in Yahusha and Yahuah, and through you turn to Yahuah through faith in Yahushua Hamashiach. You got to be establishing this witness, because these people ain't gonna care about you. Listen, they ain't gonna care about you. You see how gingerly they escorted the European out. You see how they escorted him out. He put his gun down. Yeah, he put his rifle down. And they took him in the car. They apprehended him. They kind of walked him out. Dude had his hand on his shoulder. It's like gingerly. Are you kidding me? Listen, if that would have been you, you couldn't have turned your gun. You could not have put your gun down. You would have ate all 17 rounds of that officer's gun. And you would have probably been Swiss cheese. Oh, yeah, because it's a different standard. It's a different standard because this is not your home. This is not yours. This is not your land. This is our captivity. This is the lands of our captivity. Oh, yeah. You think you got a little freedom now, but listen, the oppression is real. Oh, the oppression is real. I mean, I listened to the and I love B'nai Israel. Boy, I tell you, I can't say enough about that brother, right? And the things that he brings forth, right, that reinforces the ideology of these heathen nations. Come on, this last one, it was sundown towns. Sundown town. Those are towns that you have to be out before sundown if you black. Because if you ain't out of them towns at sundown, by the time you black, you may not ever get out of that town alive. Sundown towns. Come on, I posted on my Facebook page. Look. Anything but they do, I'm going to post, because volumes. Speaks volumes to the history, the reality of the nation, right? Reality. This is our reality, right? It ain't nothing changed. It's not changed. You better get a clue, bro. You better get a clue. You better be establishing this witness, and you better understand what that means. Listen, there's no weapon that's formed against me that's going to prosper. I'm established in this witness. I have received the Ruach HaKodesh, the water, and the blood. Yeah. Yahuah, I give you praise. Listen, man, a woman of Yahuah, I received the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. And because I have, Mark 16 and 19, I think it is. Mark 16 and 16. Right? He says, he that believeth, right, who received this witness, the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, the water, the baptism, the water, the blood, the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the belief. It's not just believing, but you got to have it all. You got to have it all in its fullness. You got to have the water, you have to have the blood, you have to have the Ruach HaKodesh in order to believe. He said, he that believeth and is baptized. You got to receive the baptism of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be baptized in the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. Shall be saved. Salvation, right? Salvation now is the sovereignty of Yahuwah's protection, right? In your body, by the Ruach HaKodesh, strengthening your DNA and causing your body to fight off stuff that's so foreign and it does not belong there, that Yahuah Zabod refuses to allow it to take control of you because you believe the witness. Yeah, because you were baptized, right? Baptized with the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuah said, and he shall baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh. So you got to receive the water and the Ruach HaKodesh right in order to be able to have the experience of this DNA altering, genetic reinforcing, force field covering of your DNA ladder, right? That ain't nobody is going to be able to manipulate. He that believeth not is stuck. Because if you can't believe his witness, every chemtrail, every vaccine, every deadly thing is going to kill you dead. It's going to kill you dead. It's going to kill you dead because you did not believe. You did not release your emunah in this witness. You see, and you got to receive this witness. He said, listen. And these signs, right, the evidence that you've received the witness, shall follow them that believe those that receive the witness, right? In my name, they should cast out devils. Perverse ruachs of fear. Listen, let me understand something. Understand this. Ain't no ruach in you if you have the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. That is some of the most erroneous, absurd doctrines that could ever be put forth. Right. Yahuah, in his Ruach HaKodesh, Yahuah and Yahusha in you, is not going to share a temple with demons. A demon ain't going to come up in you if you have the Ruach HaKodesh. In all actuality, a demon don't want anything to do with you in the Ruach HaKodesh. Now, he wants to make thoughts, cause you to entertain things that will cause you to turn towards that thought and that process and possibly act in a manner that points you in the direction of that disobedience or whatever it is that he's trying to get you to do. But listen, you can't share his temple with a devil, right? You can't be possessed if you have the Ruach of Yahuah. How Yahuah and Yahusha and the Ruach are just going to share a house with a devil, a demon? You can't be possessed. Now, a devil can oppress you, right? Until you get enough, you understand what you have in the Ruach HaKodesh and cast out devils. Yeah. You have authority to cast out devils in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. He said, these signs shall follow them that believe. You ain't possessed with no devil. Not if you have the Ruach HaKodesh. Now, if you have a devil, then you ain't got the Ruach HaKodesh because they don't share the same temple. They don't share the same house. They don't cohabitate, right? They ain't roommates. The Ruach HaKodesh and demons don't room together. They're not roommates. They don't room together, right? So you have authority to cast out or cast away demons. Demon may be talking to your head, talking to you in Hasatan in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Demon, devil, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, get out of my presence. I plead the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. You have no authority here. Guess what? He got to obey because of the witness. Because you're his, Yahuwah's. If you're Yahuwah's, they got to obey. Now, if you ain't Yahuwah's, they ain't gonna obey, just like them priests that, they say they're exorcists. No, they ain't exorcism. They ain't exercising anything. How can Satan cast out Satan? Satan ain't casting out Satan. Hasatan ain't casting out Satan. It ain't happening. He ain't got no power. He ain't got no power. Now, Hasatan can make a devil. Hasatan can make a smaller devil submit for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he can do whatever he wants to because he's chief. Tell that devil to shut up right now. Don't do anything like that. That devil gonna listen. He gonna be rebellious. He don't want to buck because that's what demons do. They gonna buck. He gonna buck. But listen. Hasatan's devils obey Hasatan, right? So listen. Satan ain't gonna cast out Satan. For what purpose? What advantage does he stand to gain by casting out devils? Casting out those who he sent. He said, you should speak with new tongues. You will speak with the tongues of men and angels. Oh, yeah. You got a Ruach HaKodesh, you're going to speak with the tongues of men and angels. Yeah. You're going to speak with the tongues of men and angels. You're going to speak a heavenly language that you, Yahuah, and the angels understand. And Yahusha understand. Heavenly language. Right? And then there are going to be times that you're going to speak in the Ruach HaKodesh in languages that are amongst the people that you're reaching for the witness. See, you don't understand that. You don't agree. Yeah, you're like, oh, we don't need to do that now. We got all kinds of things to help and assist. Oh, yeah. You can almost speak in your phone and have it translated, speak it back. Oh, yeah. You can do stuff like that, right? But I'm talking about the Ruach HaKodesh. Because the Ruach HaKodesh get you a bunch of people, and you go to praying and speaking in tongues, and they know exactly what you're saying, but you don't have a clue because it's the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And who's gonna do what he need to do for the people who got an ear to hear? Oh man, listen, it's real. The Ruach HaKodesh is real, man. You understand it. You got to see this witness. Now he says, listen, and they shall take up serpents, right? Right? Well, ain't nobody running around picking up snakes. And yeah, Yahuah had Shaul as an example, shake a snake off. And though they expected to see him die, he didn't. But if we ain't taking up serpents, right? We're not physically doing that. But what we are doing is, right? Trusting in Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh, right? To shake off Maxine. Listen, y'all. They don't put so much stuff in our food, right? We drinking the deadly thing. And they gonna harm us because we have the Ruach HaKodesh. We're establishing this witness. Yeah, listen. We should be responsible. We should be eating things that are healthy for us, right? We need to be more herb conscious, right? And I ain't talking about weed. We used to call it herb. We need to be more weed conscious. Weeds. I mean, not weeds, but, natural plants. Plant-based stuff. Your flax seed, your black seed, your oils, your essential oils, all your essential oils. They all work together. You blend some of those together and rub them on you, right? Because they work. You find the points in your body where you have absorption. There's certain areas that absorb better, and it'll work throughout your whole body. Right? They say if we drink any deadly thing, come on, you know how much stuff that we probably ingested, and if we receive the Ruach HaKodesh, who has restructured our functioning, bio-functioning. Listen, we had Ruach HaKodesh, right? That last vaccine, right? Right, the last time, the COVID, right? It's killing people, right? But if you got the witness of Yahushua Mashiach against the Ruach HaKodesh, look it. Nothing deadly. And actually, you shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. See this witness. You got to see this witness, bro. Remember, it's about receiving the witness. It's about walking in agreement with Yahuwah's Ruach, walking in agreement with the Basur and the Torah. You know, it'll lead you and guide you, the Ruach HaKodesh, to all truth. All right, so we left off at 1 Corinthians 11th chapter, the 23rd verse. And again, Paul is dealing with the Corinthian church and their lack of reverence, right, for celebrating Yahuwah's or Yahusha's supper, right, Pesach. But it's not just the Pesach in its yearly remembrance, right, because there's a yearly remembrance of Pesach that, you know, we participate in, right, because it represents the children of Yisrael, right, having a meal of lamb, putting meal of a lamb that was sacrificed. Blood was placed on the doorpost, right, of the house, right, and who were to eat bitter vegetables, right, and unleavened bread. Right. So when Yahusha, right, had the Last Supper, right, or the Pesach meal, you know, and it says that Yahusha bid his disciples to go and prepare the place. To be a man and tell him that the master has need of this place for celebrate the Pesach. Or unleavened bread, because unleavened bread begins at the same time as Pesach does. So Pesach is often referred to as unleavened bread feast and the Pesach feast, but they're two different things because unleavened bread represents the departure from sin, right? And the lamb represents the solution, the covering of the blood of the lamb, the blood that cleanses, right? So Yahusha has the Last Supper, right? He breaks the bread and gives it to the disciples and eat, and he tells them, take, eat, this is my body. It's broken for you. You know, this you do as often as you do in remembrance of me, right? Remember by sacrifice, right? By sacrifice. Now, he did not say remember my Pesach, because Yahusha's sacrifice was greater than the experience of Pesach. He transcended that, right? Yahusha, right? His resurrection, or Yahusha's Last Supper, though symbolic, it established something new or something renewed, right? So let's go. So Shaul, right? He's talking to the church because they got issues with suppers. And some of the issues have to do with the Gentiles, you know, who go in and celebrate Pesach, you know, and but then they also go into the temples of these formal idols that they used to serve, and you know they eat meat offered to idols, you know, and they and even Shaul says, look, an idol ain't nothing to me, you know, but I ain't going up in the house where they worship these things. Right? I'm not going up in there in the house that they worship these things, knowing they sacrifice to this God, and they're sitting down and eating the benefits of that sacrifice before this God. This is not acceptable, right? But Shaul says also too, you know, if you go to a market and you know there's some meat there, and you purchase that meat, you take that purchased meat and you eat it. And I don't know, for conscience sake, don't ask them if it's been sacrificed to idols, because that changes the whole dynamics of things. Because now, when you recognize it's been offered to idols, you got to deal with the fact that I eat offered to idols, and then who's watching me? Am I gonna offend my brother? All of this. Just get the meat and go, right? But the idea is that an idol's nothing to me, right? But I got to watch what I do, because I don't want what I do to cause my brother, my sister to stumble. Right? But you had these Gentiles, man. They were still fellowshipping in some of these temples with people that they knew, right? And They went to the feast. Right? And they took the Lord. They took Yahuwah's supper. Adonai Yahusha's supper. Right? Right? You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't provoke Yahusha to jealousy. You can't provoke Yahuwah to jealousy. What are you doing? You can't do that. That's not acceptable. You can't do that. Right? Can't do it. So he was explaining this to them. But then he also got off into like, listen. You know what? It's also reported to me that listen, when y'all celebrate Pesach, y'all go in and celebrating it like it's a party, like it's a place to come and eat and get fat and drink and get drunk. It's not that. That's not what Yahusha's supper is about. Yahusha's supper also incorporated the washing of his disciples' feet, right? A show of humbleness towards a brother. Y'all going up in there and eating, getting 2 and 3 plates, and then you got a man who probably deserves to eat something, and he can't get no food, and he ain't got food, he ain't got hardly nothing at home, but you got plenty at home. Why don't you go home and eat? This is not what the Yahuwah supper is for. It's about a time of remembrance, a time of fellowshipping and understanding the nature of what's happening. For you to get up there and start drinking. Now, for all we know, they could be remembering this every week. Everybody just getting together every week. You know how we do. Have church, have dinner every Sunday. Have church. All the sisters would have food and plates and stuff, and eat. If you was a minister, man, you got your plate first. You got good heaping helpings, right? But if you was that last person, you might only got what was left over. These people got to celebrate and eating and saying it's a Yahuwah supper. But Joe said, this is not what this is. This is not what this is. He said, listen. For when ye come, 1 Corinthians 11:20, for when you come together, therefore, into one place, is it not to eat Yahuwah's supper? When you come, aren't you supposed to eat Yahuwah's supper? Right? He said, but listen, for in eating, everyone taketh before his own supper, right? And one is hungry and another is drunken. You get in there and you go to eating, taking supper, right? And some of y'all get drunk, and some of y'all don't even get a chance to eat anything from this participation, right? He says, for in eating, everyone taketh before his own supper, and one is hungry and another is drunken. He said, listen, what have ye not a house to eat? Don't you got a home to eat at? This is not what this is. Now listen, this is not to say that, you have an assembly and y'all prepare food and, you make sure the people eat. Well, that's a wonderful, beautiful gesture. But if all things being equal, if that's what you're doing, it's fine. But, if you get to a place where, people ain't getting no food and people missing out, I ain't get a plate. It's a problem. Listen, it's a problem. He said, you eat at home. I think we do it because, we want the people to come, especially if we're going to hold them there. Some of these old people all day. I ain't saying nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, right? But you hold people all day. They start at 8 o'clock. May not finish at 9 o'clock at night. It's all day. So yeah, stand to reason. Want to make sure they got something to eat. Because you're going to hold them there all day, right? And there's nothing wrong with, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with spending all day before you in prayer and in teaching. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, look, yeah, nothing wrong with that, right? What you got to understand, people got to eat. Unless everybody's dedicated to fasting on the Shabbat. Then it doesn't matter. You ain't there to eat anyway. You're there to fast and receive the word, right? So, he says, what, have ye not houses? Y'all got some place to eat and drink? If you want to eat and you want to drink, eat and drink at home, right? You want to celebrate, eat and celebrate at home. But Yahuwah's supper is not that celebration. It's not that, right? It's not what that is. He said, listen. He says, eat your house and drink, for despise ye the assembly of Yahuwah, and shame them that are not. Right? Right? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in all this? I praise you not. You can eat at your own house, and you come to the assembly, and you conduct yourselves like this, and then you got people who don't have it like that to eat. What is this you doing? It's a shame. You ought to know how to act. You ought to know how to conduct yourself, right? Now he goes on, right? Where we left off, to begin to help them to understand this, just in case you don't hit a bump in the road. You need restructuring, and you need restructuring. You need somebody to restructure some things for you, help you see some things more, right? He says, listen. He says, for I have received of Adonai that which also I delivered unto you. Right? Right? That Adonai Yahusha, the night in which he was betrayed, took bread. Now he's talking about what Yahusha did, and why what Yahusha did is what we mirror. We do what Yahusha did. We do it the way Yahusha did it. Right? Because that's what Pesach is now. Right? Right? Pesach is more than the blood on the mantle of the doorpost, the putting out leaven out of the physical house, about eating physical unleavened bread, right? Right? It's more than that, right? Because Yahusha established Pesach. Well, he established a new approach to Pesach, a new understanding of Pesach, because Pesach is him. It was about him. This supper is about Yahusha. See, now Gentiles don't know anything about unless Shaul told them. They don't really know anything about Mitzrayim and Egypt and Passover lamb and because they Gentiles, they Corinthians. They were idol worshippers. They was just coming out of the temples and worshiping and eating meat off of the idols, right? So Shaul has to help them to understand that. Listen. This is Yahusha's. This is Yahusha's supper, and Yahusha's supper, right? Has to occur the way he said it occurred. You got to do it the way like this. He says, "For I have received of Adonai Yahusha that which I delivered unto you. I gave you what he gave me." He says that Yahusha, Adonai Yahusha, the night in which he was betrayed, took bread. Now we understand the bread he took was unleavened bread because it was celebrating the feast of unleavened bread and Pesach. Right? So he said the bread. He took bread. Right? Right? He didn't say unleavened bread. He said he took bread. Unleavened bread. Right? And when he had given thanks, he brake and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." Right? So Yahushua took the bread and break it and gave it to the disciples. Specific, right? And then he said, right, the bread was his body that was broken, right? Right? The unleavened bread, because Yahusha was without sin. Therefore, the unleavened bread had more to do with the fact that there was nothing in the bread that represented sin. This is a new, renewed covenant, right? So we understand that Yahusha, right, his body became bread that was unleavened and broken. But we also know Yahusha was that lamb without spot or blemish, because he fulfilled all things, right? So anyway, he's dealing specifically with the bread, and the bread was unleavened, and Yahusha was without sin. So Yahusha said, the bread, when you eat it, it's my body, right? It's my body. It was broken for you. I was made to be broken for you. Right? Now, we know that Yahusha didn't break. There was no bones broken in his body. There was no physical thing that they ever did to cause anything in his body to represent anything that was abnormality before he entered into the fullness of his death and his resurrection. Therefore, being that lamb, once resurrected, having his blood, he still remained a lamb without blemish. Right? So he says, my body was just broken for you. Right? So, body was broken. His body was made to suffer. His body was made to suffer. Right? So let's get the word broken. What does that word broken mean in the Greek?
Strong's G 2806, klao.
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 It's to break. It's used in the New Testament of the breaking of bread for communion. So the word is a New Testament Greek word. I tend to believe, right, and I'm speaking this in the Ruach, I tend to believe that the body being broken had nothing to do with a physical break in any aspect of Yahusha, but a broken or separation, right? Being put in a place of sin because of the sins of those whom he was bearing. He was broken. Right now, he says, this do in remembrance of me. Right? Do this in remembrance of me. So when you go to remember Yahuah's supper, you take bread, you break it, unleavened, and you give it. Everybody gets some. Right? Right? Then he says, after the same manner, the cup, when he had supped, saying, when he had supped. What's that supped? Supped. What's that word supped in the Greek?
Strong's G 1172, dipneo. Dipneo.
Dipnea, right? Let me see what the etymology of that word is. Okay. The etymology of dipneo is
Strong's G 1173, dipnot.
dipna.
Dipnot.
The root etymology, the root is supper, especially a formal meal usually held at the evening time. Used of Hamashiach's feast, symbolizing Yeshua in the kingdom. Food taken in the evening. So, after Yahusha, he gave him the bread, told him, take it. This is my body's broken for you. Right? Right? And then, right, after the same manner also, the cup, when he had supped, finished eating, right? Saying, this cup is the renewed testament. It's renewed testament, right? In my blood. Right? Because the blood, right? Without shedding of blood, there's no remission of sin. There's no restoration from sin, right? So Yahusha's blood restored, renewed the covenant that was needed to be changed. It needed to be ratified. Right? Right? So it says here, the blood in the new covenant, right? This do ye as often as ye drink in remembrance of me. So we understand that these instructions, right, were specific, and the order of conduct reflects that what they did in obedience, and they did in line with what Yahusha had instructed, right? He says, and when he had given thanks, he brake and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you, this do in remembrance of me. And after the same manner, also the cup, when he had supped, saying, this cup is the renewed testament in my blood. Now let's look at the testament. Let's look at that Greek word for testament.
Strong's G 1242. Diatheke. Diatheke.
It's a disposition, an arrangement of any sort which one wishes to be valid. The last disposition which one makes of his earthly possessions after his death. So Yahushua said, this is my will and testament. Right? This is what I will you to do. Right? This is the establishment of the initiating of what I have left for you to follow. New Testament. The renewed covenant, right? He says, as often as ye eat this bread, right, and drink this cup, so it's the bread in the cup, right, ye do shew Yahuwah's death till he comes. Right? So it is solemn in nature. Right? 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 Right. It's not revelatory. Right? Right. This event is not a party. It's not a party. It's a solemn, reverential experience in remembering Yahusha. Now listen, even when they came out of Mitzrayim and they partook of the feast, right, of Pesach, right, they did that in their homes. They didn't get together as a congregation. They assembled in their homes, and they're assembled in their homes if their neighbors, right, they had more than enough for one lamb, they shared it, but they did it as a family in their homes. I mean, if you want to stick to the true nature of the event, right, it was a solemn event. It was a humbling, solemn event. Pesach. Right? It wasn't a revelatory Let's get dressed up and have a party. That's us. That's us. Even under the blood of Yahushua Hamashiach, there's an understanding that this renewed covenant has established a righteousness that is in Hamashiach to be remembered. But it was never a time of celebratory, you know. Everybody getting all dressed up and praying around and dancing, right? I mean, I ain't trying to put nobody on blast. That's not what I'm doing. This is what it looks like. Doesn't matter if it's Pesach or it's Yahusha's new established testament. His will and testament concerning Pesach. Concerning unleavened bread. Concerning the blood of the grape. He says, as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do shew the Lord's death till he comes forth. You testify to the fact that Yahushua has died. Now we celebrate his life, right? The day of Pentecost. Ooh, that's celebration of life. That's celebration. He says, listen, wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink the cup of Adonai Yahusha unworthy. Whosoever takes this communion unworthy, right, shall be guilty of the blood, the body, and the blood of Hamashiach. Who takes this cup and this bread unworthy. Now Judas took the cup, he was unworthy. We saw what happened to Judas. Judas was the son of perdition. Judas didn't care about anything but Judas. Judas didn't even hear anything but what Judas wanted to hear. Right? But the idea is that you can't participate in this celebration. It's not even celebration. You can't take part of this remembrance, right, and make it a celebratory, festive drunkenness, dishonoring of the purpose of the supper, because that would be you doing it unworthily. Now, it's established fact that you have to receive Yahusha's blood, right? The water and the Ruach HaKodesh to be established in his kingdom. And in order to participate in Yahusha's feast days, right, you have to be established in his witness, right? So, the fact that they're established in the witness, right, because they're celebrating this feast day, right? Because they're celebrating, because Shaul said, that which I received of Yahuah, I gave to you, and you did it, right? But what created this sense of unworthiness, right? It was the condition of their heart and their approach to the remembrance. It was the condition of their hearts and their approach to the reverence of the remembrance. He said, for also as you eat of this bread and drink of this cup. Now, this remembrance, if you wanted to do it every Shabbat, you can. Because it's as often as you do it, right? Because, again, this is a renewed covenant. It doesn't excuse you from celebrating it on Pesach, right? But you can celebrate it every day of the week if you want to. Because you remember in Yahushua HaMashiach's witness until he comes. You're remembering Yahushua HaMashiach's witness until he comes. You're remembering the blood. You're remembering the water. You're remembering what he has provided for you in the Ruach HaKodesh. You know, in Pesach, we had Pesach meal, right? We grilled the lamb. We did all of that. We got together and washed each other's feet. We did what Yahusha did. Shout out to my Aki, Yaakov Ben Zion got all, because I said, you know, move the way Yahuah leads you to move in this. Ruach. Right? Because he understood that this was a time of reverence and of giving. You know, you wash your brother's feet. He washes your feet. You together participate in the Pesach. You recognize the blood. You recognize the leaven out of the house. You recognize that. But, you know, Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, Yahushua HaMashiach's supper, right, is greater. It's greater. Because his sacrifice comes with the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. It sets you apart. It establishes you as Yahuwah's. And it puts you in his kingdom. All you got to do is endure to the end. And do the things that he has led and instructed you to do by example, having received the witness of the apostles and what they've done in the book of Acts. It's your example. Right? Right? You've seen what it looks like. You know what it is. You know what it means. You know what you got to do. He says, you remember the death. You remember the death. Right? Pesach. Something different. You remember the death. So Pesach should be about remembering the death of Yahushua Mashiach. Because it's a New Testament. It's a renewed order. Like, yeah, you remember Pesach. But you got to understand that Yahushua Mashiach's death and his supper, right, supersedes, fulfills. All right, let's go. See, they needed to understand this because, you know, they was just like reveling in and getting the food and 2 and 3 plates, and some people ain't getting no food, and, you know, they drinking so much wine that they getting drunk, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, sideways. Sideways on Yahushua's remembrance. You're sideways. Yahusha's remembrance. He says, wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink the cup of Yahusha unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of Yahusha. See, he ain't gonna find you innocent because you walk in the witness with reverence and honoring it. He's not gonna hold that against you, right? But when you unreverence it, then you're guilty, doing dishonor to the blood of Yahushua. He said, let a man examine himself, so let him eat the bread and drink the cup. So you know it's the bread and the cup. You said the bread, unleavened bread, you eat it. That's my body. It's changed. The unleavened bread represented the sin that you removed from your house. But now the bread, which is unleavened bread, you got to consume it. Because the bread that is unleavened that you consume, you're looking at it now in reference to it being the body of Yahushua broken. And the blood, you got to consume that too. You can't just get by with sprinkling it on your doorpost. Consume it. He says, for he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation. Because that's what it's going to do. Damnation is anything that is in violation to the word, the will of Yahuwah. So if Yahuwah gave you an example to do it and you don't do it that way, then guess what? It's damnation. You can't do that. You got to do it the way he instructed you to do it. And then you got to do it from a heart of love, right? Because you've already received the Ruach HaKodesh. You understand that the witness of Yahusha and the Ruach HaKodesh has made you new. So, you can't be acting and performing and doing things that are not pleasing in Yahuwah when it comes to his supper. Supper is to be honored. Supper is to be honored. The bread is to be honored. The bread is to be honored. He says, for this cause, many sickly. It says many weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. Because they don't do Yahuwah's supper the right way. It's better to obey than a sacrifice. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. If we just looked at how we were doing what we were doing in light of the example which you received from me, which I received from Hamashiach, if we would just do it the way he did it and look at ourselves, judge ourselves, judge our hearts, judge our motives, judge our motives. He says, but when we are judged, we are chastened of Yahuwah. See, when Yahuwah judges us, you get sick, right? You get weak. And if we don't repent, we die. We sleep. Right? That's why he says everybody gotta judge yourself. Because Yahuwah's going to chasten you. Right? That we should not become condemned with the world. That we should not die and be condemned with the world. Wherefore, my brother, when I come together to eat, tarry one for another. Wherefore, my brother, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. Everybody gets some. Everybody drinks some. Everybody. Right. He says, wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. Pray for one another. Let's see what tarry means. Because, you know, he used to say you tarrying for somebody. You praying for one another. He says tarry.
Strong's G 1551. Ekdechamai.
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 It means to receive, accept, to look for, to expect, to wait for, or to wait. Actually, it should be wait on. Right? Because even in Yahusha's suppers, he washed his disciples' feet. He waited on them. Yeah, Peter says, you can't wash my feet. You said, if you don't let me wash your feet, you don't have no part of me. You don't have no part in you. Oh, yeah, well, you wash my feet, my head, everything. You say, you know, I ain't here to give you a bath, but, you know, just your feet. You know, because the ultimate humility back in the day was because, you know, people walked about with sandals in the dusty dirt, right? Right? And their feet were dirty. So it was the ultimate in humility to wash somebody's feet. Right? You got to tarry with people. You can't be in it for yourself. Right? He says, and if any man hunger, let him eat at home. It ain't this kind of meal. It's not that kind of meal. It's a remembrance meal. It's a renewed covenant kind of meal. Let him eat at home. That ye come not together unto condemnation. Don't come in with this ruach bringing about condemnation. And the rest I will set in order when I come. Hold on just a minute. Right, so as I'm sitting here, right, and I'm thinking about this, right, Yahuah says, show them communion, right? So, because we're at the end, 34th verse was the end of that 11th chapter, right? Now, unleavened bread, well, you know, right, for me, right now, it's unleavened bread, right? And Shaul said that the night in which Yahushua was betrayed, right? Right? He took bread, right? And after he had given thanks, Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Hamashiach, I give you thanks for this bread, this unleavened bread. Yahuah, I recognize this bread is your body. In the name of Yahushua Hamashiach, it is Yahushua's body that was broken for me. I break it. I don't have anybody to give it to right now, but I break it. Right? And he said, after he had given thanks, I thank you, Yahuah. I ask you to sanctify this in remembrance of Yahushua Hamashiach's body that was broken for me. I thank you, Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Hamashiach, as often as I do it, because Yahuah, I don't have to wait for Pesach to remember your sacrifice. I do not have to wait for Pesach to remember your body that was broken. So Yahuah, I thank you in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, giving thanks, right? He says, take and eat. This is my body which is broken for you. Do it in remembrance of me. Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuah, I give you praise. I thank you for the body of Yahusha. I thank you for the body that was broken for me. I thank you, Yahuah, that I do this in remembrance of Yahushua HaMashiach. I thank you for this eternal covenant that you've made with us. I thank you for this witness. I give you praise for it. Now, I'm sincere now. This is not mockery. This is what we were to do. Now again, this is unleavened bread. This is unleavened crackers. We understand these because we have communion. We would have bread. He would rip and has, right? Then he says, remembrance of me. Then he says, in the same manner, he took the cup. The cup, right? He said, this cup, right? Right? And then after the same manner, he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the new renewed covenant in my blood. The blood of the grape. Right? This do ye as often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. Yahuah, I thank you in the name of Yahushua for the blood of Yahushua Hamashiach. I thank you for the established covenant that he has made with us. I thank you that your witness is alive because he is alive. I give you thanks for allowing him to be broken for me, for allowing him to be broken in body for me, allowing his blood to be shed for the remission of my sins. Yahuah, I praise you for this supper. I praise you for this meal. I look with gratitude to you, but yet in humble reverence, understanding that the price that was paid was a broken Savior, a broken kinsman redeemer, who through his death stood as a propitiation for my sin. I give you praise. Yahuah, may I remember this as often as I remember it. with the gratitude of the body that Yahusha broke for me. I give you praise. For the blood that was shed for me, I give you praise. I exalt you, Yahuah. Now, Yahuah, I give you praise. I pray that this would resonate in those who hear it. Yahuah, to remember the body and the blood is to be done as often as we do it, remembering the sacrifice of Yahusha until he comes. Yahuah, I give you praise. Yahuah, I pray that everyone that hears this word today would be made alive and quickened by it, that it would bring and shed light on this supper, this renewed covenant, the establishment of this renewed covenant. Yahuah, I give you praise. Yahuah, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart have been acceptable in thy sight, Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, that's it. That's it. That's all I have. Right? Remember Yahusha's body. Remember Yahusha's blood. You don't have to wait to Pesach to do that. It's often as you do it, do it. Right? And often as you do it, do it. See, because in this witness, you have to be established by the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to remember it. Man, if y'all want me, that's all I have. We have went through the entire chapter of the 11th, the entire chapter, 11th chapter of 1 Corinthians. I pray that Yahuwah's word would resonate in you and that it would make you alive, it would quicken you, and that it would establish you in this truth. And understand something, right? There's nothing without the witness. The Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood, there's nothing. And if Yahusha's body was never broken, and if Yahuwah's blood was never shed, there is no covenant. There's no establishment of a renewed covenant. You can't turn back to Yahuwah until you partake in Yahusha's witness and be established in the renewed covenant. Man, if y'all want me, that's all I have. I pray Yahuwah would that by this word you will be quickened, made alive. And with that I say, man of Yah, woman of Yah, called the greatness, woman of Yahuwah, beautifully, wonderfully made. Shalom, 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 and be blessed.
Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.